A number of gifted students from the College of Medicine and Medical Sciences at the Arabian Gulf University recently took part in a training course held at the British University of Oxford on statistical genomics. To talk more about their experience and its outcomes, we are pleased to be joined here at the studio by the students, Fatma Bouali, Safa Habib, Jinan Alawi, and Wala El-Hammad. Welcome guys, how are you guys doing?
Good, thank you.
Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us, and first I'd like to ask you, Fatma, can you give us a general idea about statistical genomics?
So statistical genomics involves data analysis of genomic information, which is basically a broader term for genetics. And the difference mainly between genetics and genomics is that when we're talking about genomics, we're talking about the whole genetic data and not just what we call the coding regions of the DNA.
Okay, that's a very fascinating field and probably a lot to look into. And Jinan, I'd like to ask you about the covered topics during the participation of this event.
So the really nice thing about the course is that it was divided into 5 days, and each day had its own separate theme. So on the first day, we focused on genetic sequencing. So they told us about the different steps in gene sequencing. So when you get the data from your sample into a program, into a computer program, so that you can analyze it after that.
And I can imagine a field like this has a lot of theory and practicality to it. Can you tell us a little bit how the two were blended?
So each day they would introduce us with a theoretical lecture given by the experts in that field, and then we would take a break, and then the next lecture would be a practical session. So they would give us very interactive workbooks that we could run codes on, and we also installed different programs like IGV, and we also constructed different tree sequences and ancestral trees and family trees as well. So it was very fun.
It's such a fascinating field, and now I'd like to move on to Safa. Could you tell us a little bit about the experience of participating in the immersive week-long residential and postgraduate summer school on the topic of statistical genomics?
Yes. So firstly, it was truly an invaluable experience in our part, and we got to meet so many doctors and professors at the University of Oxford, and on top of that, we got to learn from them firsthand. So like the different statistical methods, and we also got to learn from like the developers of some of the statistical platforms themselves on how to analyze genomic data. And on top of that, there were also some leisure activities, such as we got to see the city, and we got to see the Natural History Museum of Science, and we got to see Charles Darwin's collection. So that was also very nice. And we also did punting, which is what they call a tradition in Oxford. So everyone who goes there should do it at least once. So we were really happy to try that. And a big part of the experience was also meeting the different people from the globe who were also coming. And we had lunch, breakfast, and dinner with everyone else who were also coming. And that was a good opportunity to talk to them about their own researches, and also on our own researches and what's going on in the Gulf in terms of research.
Brilliant, and I know from my very limited knowledge about this field of science, DNA and genes, I mean, there's quite a lot that we don't understand about it yet, and it's relatively new. So there's always a lot to learn. How do you feel that your knowledge has been added upon by this experience?
Well, like Jinan said, we had the theoretical part, which was taught firstly before the practical, and we got to get updated on all the different statistical methods which are used in genomic data analysis, and afterwards we got to do the practical methods on our computers, and it was a very nice experience.
I'm very impressed. I mean, you guys are quite literally studying the building blocks of life. So, I mean, I'm sure that it comes with, as rewarding as it is, you can also probably face a lot of challenges and difficulties. So, were there any difficulties you faced? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Well, I would say the major difficulty we faced was that the program was pretty dense and packed, and so there were a lot to learn in a very short period. But we managed to overcome that by, asking questions as much as we could. We helped each other. We would sit together and help each other. We would ask each other questions, and everyone there was very, very willing to help and supportive, cooperative. So that made the experience go as smooth as it could be. And so, yeah, we made the most out of it. Yeah. We had a lot of breaks between the lectures, and that helps us to catch up with everything. We had coffee breaks and tea breaks in the afternoon. And like Safa said, we also had dinner and lunch together. So, yeah.
Brilliant. It sounds like a very cohesive and very collaborative experience overall. And now back to you, Fatma. What are your plans to develop your skills and knowledge in this field?
So what we got was like a sneak peek of what research in genomics is, and hopefully we can use what we learned by doing more research in the future. And currently we're all involved in research in the Arabian Gulf University. So hopefully we can, after finishing our current research, we can do more research in the future, whether involving genomics or not. But that's the main future plan.
Well, I wish you all the best with that. And now, moving back to Jinan, how do you value the Arabian Gulf University's cooperation with their international counterparts to provide students with the required knowledge and training in this field?
So I think as students, we value this a lot, and we're very appreciative of the opportunity that we've been given. It really gave us a lot of benefits. I mean, for example, we got to see how different teaching methodologies they had in Oxford, and we got to see diverse perspectives on genomics, and we learned about everyone's research interests. And we also had guest lectures, so we really had a variety of experts, and we had access to world-class knowledge. So we are very grateful that we had that opportunity, and it just goes to show how our university values continuing education in medicine.
Very eloquently said. And I'd like to ask you, what is your advice for students who are hoping to follow in you guys' footsteps?
So my most important advice is to ask as much questions as you can, socialize with as many people as you can, and try to make connections with them. If anyone would to go in the same program or any other program, yeah, just socialize. That's the most important things, and don't be afraid to take challenges or risks.
Brilliant. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.